Alright, so our learning target for today is I can explain how genocide may occur in the modern world, and I can analyze how genocide may affect the modern world. And by that, we're going to look at Dachau and the Holocaust. We've seen this picture before. This is a picture of some soldiers that came into Dachau that found. Again, this is the picture we saw when we first opened the unit up. You can tell the bodies there are in different states of decay. Up front, the fresh are dead. Back, as they've been there for a while. And this, like I said, is Dachau. Dachau opened in 1933, which was pretty much a few months after Adolf Hitler came to power. He opened up Dachau. As we're going to learn later on in this, Dachau was set up to be a work camp. At the beginning, it was not set up to be the death machine that we know it. They sent the Jews there. That way they could train them to be a good German. They wanted to show them how to work to be a good German. And so we'll see the picture here in just a few minutes. I'll get right to you. When you walk in, the gates there in German, it states in the German language, work will set you free. So that was the first thing you saw when you came in was the Jews literally thought if they went there and learned how to work, they'd be set free. What's your question?
When did Hitler start doing, killing the Jews himself and starving them?
When he started losing the war, he came up with the final solution. That was, he realized he's got these millions of Jewish people in these camps. Obviously, if he loses, they're going to be angry and come after him. He's got to figure out some way to get rid of them. That's when it started going bad.
Did he not intend on killing himself during the war?
I don't think he did until he realized that he was getting squeezed from both sides and he wasn't going to make it out. Alright, so let's go to the next slide. Again, if anybody has any questions while we're going over this, please ask. Alright, roots of the Holocaust. We know we've learned the last few days that Hitler was preaching hate. He blamed the Jews for all of Germany's problems, and it goes back to the Treaty of Versailles. And this is what his final solution here was to get rid of the Jews. Again, first off, it wasn't his part. He just wanted to try to get them to work and become better people for his mind, but his final solution was to start killing them. Keep in mind that other countries didn't help the problem at all. Between 1933 and 1937, about 129,000 Jews fled Germany, and these included some of the most scientific people in Austria and Germany. As we talked before, Albert Einstein was one of them. The man that invented the atomic bomb fled Germany. Another great what-if situation if he would have been there. More would have left, but they were not generally welcomed anywhere else, and especially in the United States. We had unemployment here going rampant, and we were still in the Great Depression. So it sounds cruel, but if you think about it economically, if we have millions of our own citizens here without a job and starving, can we take on more people without jobs, without food?
No.
It just didn't make sense to do it. It sounds really bad that we say that, but if our own people are starving, we can't take on more people that are going to be there unemployed as well. And then we got the Depression that set in. I told you before, without the American Great Depression, we probably would not know Adolf Hitler. So we've got the wars going on, and I know the picture you guys are going to see in your packets will be almost impossible for you to tell it here. But the war is going on, Hitler's getting defeated, and then he starts coming up with the final solution. His first camp was built in 1933 when he became Chancellor of Germany, and it was Dachau, the pictures we're going to look at. In theory, not designed to kill, it turned them into useful members of the Third Reich. And the Third Reich means the First Reich was ancient times of Germany, Second Reich was before World War I, and the Third Reich was when Hitler came to power. And if you remember the speech yesterday, Hitler said the Third Reich would last 1,000 years. Now, his mind, the Third Reich lasting 1,000 years meant that he'd be in power, his party would be in power for 1,000 years. But we look at it today, the Third Reich will never be forgotten. We will always be learning about the Third Reich. It'll always be there. So when I told you that Hitler only missed one of his goals in his Mein Kampf book, this was one of them, that his Reich would be known for 1,000 years. He reached that. It will be known for 1,000 years. People placed in the concentration camps were not only Jews, but labor leaders, socialists, communists, political opponents, non-Jews who are intimate with Jews, gypsies, Jehovah's Witnesses, homosexuals, beggars, drunkards, conscientious objectors, mentally and physically handicapped. Conscientious non-licensed objectors is if you're a military person and you object to firing a gun at somebody, that's what that means. In the United States military, you can still join and be a conscientious objector. Your jobs will be like secretary work, radar work, mechanic, things of a non-combat nature. So you can still join today, but still not want to fire guns at anybody. So in Hitler, if you were one of these, you couldn't serve in the military. You were going to the concentration camps. And when we get to Auschwitz, this right here is really going to come to play out, the mentally and physically handicapped. And we'll just save that for tomorrow. Here's the picture that talks about the tattoos. I know in your packet it's very hard, probably impossible to see it. Up here you can see it a little bit better. As soon as you were sent to the camps, you'd go in and they tattoo a number on your arm. You can think of that number as your guys' social security numbers of today. Each one of these was identification numbers. They were all different. And to their credit and to their demise, the Germans and the SS and the Nazis were very organized. They had a list of everybody there and your number. They had your name and your number. You became known for your number. They'd forget your name, but they'd remember your number. But some of the books we found before they burned them all, they had, let's just say your name was Joe Smith. They'd have Joe Smith number 12345. They had his number. So the reason we know how so many of these Jews died and who they were, when we came and found the bodies, we found their tattoo numbers. We can go back to the books and find out who they were. That's how we know. So it worked for their benefit and their demise. We figured out exactly how many they killed by their books and their records. So they knew each one of these people. Even small babies. As soon as you got brought in, if you was a baby, they tattooed you. So they had your number. Once you got there, you were given a uniform. It was striped, and we'll see some of these in the pictures. Just long vertical stripes. Yes, ma'am?
When did that tattoo come off? Did they like take a shower?
No, it was permanent tattoo, like today's tattoos. They were given a particular triangle or color to identify themselves, which we're going to do this one day for a day in school to wear a certain color. See how people treat you around here. The teacher's going to know what's going on. Triangular patches that had a star. I'll draw that for you. So Star of David, that's really bad drawing. But it was yellow. They wore it on their chest all the time. That was your description. If it was a pink one, it was a homosexual. If it was purple, it was a Jehovah's Witness. Everybody know what Jehovah's Witness is?
Yeah.
It's a religion. They had to survive on a diet of 1,800 calories a day. Obviously, many of them starved to death. And then in Auschwitz, mainly, doctors conducted experiments on prisoners. And some of these experiments were oxygen deprivation. They literally would bring you in. They'd choke you to see how long you would before you died. They may choke you till you pass out and then let up to see if you come back, if any damage occurs. These experiments were brutal. They did experiments with hypothermia, which is cold, so they'd take you out in the cold, strip you of your clothing, just to see what would happen. They'd keep you out there for days just to see if your toes would fall off from frostbite or you would die. And then the effects of altitude, which is the one that I find absolutely amazing that actually did this. They would take you up in the German planes, no parachute. They'd start off, I'm just saying numbers here, to 100 feet, push you out, see if you survive the fall. And they'd keep going up. They got up to about 10,000 feet. They just push you out, see if you survive it. Now we know you're not going to survive it. But these are things they would do. They'd take you to a cliff, push you off, see what the effects of the gravity would be. These are, I hate to say it, these are not the worst experiments they did. We'll learn about those tomorrow, because they are absolutely insane. And of all the experiments conducted at any of the camps, there has not been one medically proven thing they found that these experiments conducted. Yes?
Didn't they try to clone somebody?
They did. They would do most of their, if you got sick and had to have, let's say, your finger got infected and they felt like they needed to take it off for medical reasons, they'd do it without anesthesia, they just cut it off. They did open heart surgery on patients without anesthesia, and they literally took their hearts out, let them look at it before they died. So I mean, these are some of the things they would do. Again, they were usually carried out without anesthesia. Many died in agonizing pain. And then here's one that gets a lot of people. about 5,000 mentally or physically disabled children died in agonizing experiments. So if they were mentally or physically handicapped, they do experiments on them as well. Yes, ma'am.
Didn't they like sew body parts onto
Yep.
people too?
They sew different body parts. They sew people together. If you were twins, God help you. Joseph Mengele had a really strange affection for twins.
Oh yeah.
If you came in as a twin off the train, they would, I told you they do left or right, which way you go. If you were a twin, they would automatically holler for Mengele to come out to the train post. He would take you, and then whatever he did, he did. Yes, ma'am.
Who came up with like all this tests and stuff like that?
Mengele's sick mind. He'd just say, he'd go home and go, I wonder what I could do tomorrow. And he'd come in and it crossed his mind, he would do it. Because who's going to stop him? And then again, the mentally and physically children, that's the one that bothered me because these kids had absolutely no defense. They couldn't fight back or anything. And again, we see the Auschwitz tomorrow, you guys will see a lot of the wheelchairs, the crutches, artificial arms and legs. As soon as you get off the train, they took and you were without them. Glasses. So anybody here, me included, if I had my glasses in, as soon as I got off the train, they'd take my glasses off, and now I'm pretty much physically handicapped because I can't see. So that's just things they would do there. All right. Here is the map of all the different camps that we know of. Your map is going to be hard to see, so it's probably better to look up here. The key, right up here, if you see a skull and crossbones, that camp was just built for extermination and killing of the Jews and the others. If you see the swastika, that was a concentration camp. They just round you up and keep you. And then the star is the capital city. So here's Germany. We're going to be looking at Dachau. And Dachau is down in here. It's near Munich. So it's in the southern tip. You can see it was concentration, 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 concentration. If you notice, in the state and country of Germany, there were no death camps. We go over here to Poland. We've got a camp here. We've got a death camp here, which I cannot pronounce. We've got another one here, a concentration camp, death camp, concentration camp, concentration camp, concentration camp, and right here, the very tip of Poland, we have Auschwitz. Largest death camp of them all. And you can see that it's going crossbones a little bit bigger. We've got some camps down in Austria. We've got one in Slovakia. And surprising to most people, there was one in France as well. Also one in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. So these were not just in Germany. Germany had no quote-unquote death camps in them. That was done for a reason.
But then Dachau would kill people?
Dachau did. They all started killing people in the fight when he said we got to get rid of them. They all started.
So where we like?
Yeah. So these are like.
Auschwitz was like originally made to kill them.
Yes. That's the entire plans for Auschwitz. And tomorrow we'll figure out why Auschwitz is so big. There's an actual reason why it became what it did. Hitler had to do very, very little to convert it over. All right. Next pictures are from the actual camps here. This is from Miss Garcia in Lincoln County. I forget what year she got to go over there, but she took the pictures to bring back, and she was gracious enough to let me have a copy of these so you guys can actually see what it looks like. Now, if you guys saw this just looking at it, what would you think? Looks nice. This is not what you think a concentration camp would be. Keep in mind, what you're looking at here, that is the SS German barracks. That's where the soldiers stayed. This big artwork here, Hitler had that made from some of his artists. Can't tell what it says. It's not the one that says work will set you free. You can tell right here they put the date 1933 to 1945. This right here is inside the camp where the soldiers would be staying during their leisure time. They had plenty of trees and shade. It's very nice and took care of. If you look at their part, it looks kind of like a luxury hotel or resort you'd go to stay at. The soldiers were very well took care of. Yes, sir.
Looks like bodies.
Yeah, it's really strange artwork. She said it's much clearer in person the words on there, but she couldn't make them out. The camera just kind of blurred it up. You can tell they take good care of it. There's a little memorial flowers here. And then right here's one of the gates. Alright, so you're a Jewish person, you've been rounded up in your city, and they're telling you they're bringing you Dachau. Here's the really cool thing about Dachau and Auschwitz. When you go visit these places today, which they're still open for tours, they treat you just like the Jews were treated. So when you go to the train station to board up, they have the original box cars that are just like luggage cars. Each car will hold about 100 people in it. So think about, this class has got 25 right now. So 75 more people in a boxcar train. They cram you in there, and then the train tracks, which they've got these tore up, but they still ride in on them. You ride the hour trip in these boxcars. No air conditioning. She said when they shut the doors, only lights through the cracks. There's no restrooms. There's no water. So they really treat you the same way as they did back then. So you get the experience. As soon as you get off at Dachau, the original platforms have been tore up because the soldiers, when they came in, destroyed them. So they built new ones. These are the originals right here. So they bring you in on the train with back right up in here, and you board off these. At Auschwitz, the originals are still there. When you get off, they have interpreters there dressed in full Nazi SS uniforms. When you get off, they'll go to each door. And as I told you before, the left and the right motions meant, in the real days of it, death or to the barracks to work. Today when you get there, if you get the right signal, you're going to the death chambers first. If you get the left signal, you're going to see the barracks first. But they do the exact same thing. Nobody's talking. They said even the visitors, of course you're going to talk on the train right over there. They said as soon as the train stops and they open the doors, it's just deathly silent. And they give you the right and left fingers, which way to go. And that starts your tour. They said they treat you the exact same way they would have once you got there. So the SS guards will march you to where your tour starts, and then there, the tour guide begins. And they go back to doing their jobs.
They actually dress up in SS.
They do. They have the SS uniforms. Just to give you that feeling of what it would have been like. They try to keep it as real as they can. Now, we've also heard that a lot of the German citizens said they had no idea what was going on. This is Dachau again. Look right there. Those are homes. Those are houses that was there. They know they were there at the time because there's pictures of them. Only thing separating this is a little fence. So can you imagine hearing this train coming in every single day, all day long, 24 hours a day, seeing all these people getting rounded up,
Yeah, watching without.
and you're that close, you can't smell it? They said they had no idea. Again, probably they knew exactly what was going on, but in those days, if you fought back against Hitler,
He said anything?
you're going to be right here. They're going to kill you too. This right here is the original train tracks that brought them in. You can tell the soldiers have kind of bent them up, twisted them around so they can't be used. The cobblestone pathways are all original. This right here is all original stuff that was there. You can tell how they're kind of sunk from so many people walking in on them. All right, that is Ms. Garcia from Lincoln County. This is a sign right here. As soon as you got off and they started sending you around, this is what you were met with. This sign states out, work will set you free. In every concentration camp or death camp that Hitler had built, somewhere in it, this is in the ironworks, somewhere. And then as you can tell, this opens up, and this is where the actual barracks for the Jews were. So they send you through there to go to your camps. It's kind of, you saw that, kind of intimidating, but it also gave you a sign of hope that maybe you could get out. So that's just, they did that for mind control as well. All right, I'm going to take a break for just a few minutes. We're going to play a bacon structure game to help you guys with your quiz for tomorrow. Pass these out to you. Alright, for this, you guys get to get up and move around. Please don't bump the cart because the camera is sitting there. It's the school and I don't want to pay for it if it gets broke. Gonna play a little cooking strategy where it's called find someone who knows. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna get up. I'm gonna go to this guy and say, do you know any of these countries? If he does, let's say he knows France, he'll write France on there, put his initials, go to the next person. This way, some of you might not know them, somebody else might, and you can help each other out. So we'll do it for about 5 minutes. You get up, walk around, try to figure out your countries. Again, tomorrow, I'll take the same map, put 5 different places on there, and that'll be your map quiz for this unit. So get up and walk around.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your mission?
Thank you for keeping the score.
Where's mine?
There's yours again. Right, Grant.
If there's one you don't know, bring it to me and I will help you.
Why don't you put your name on it?
Just to give you guys an idea for your quiz tomorrow, the countries I pick will be the ones that we're focusing on in the unit. About 2 more minutes, guys.
Always get pictures.
All I have is a B.
Alright, everybody start coming back to your seats. That's a really good idea. The map I gave you in the packet, it's got lots of countries on it. I hadn't thought about that. So tonight, just go home and study this map. The first one I gave you guys, the first time we started on the unit, put them together. Like I said, the main countries I'll be putting on there are the ones that we're really focusing on in this unit. Alright, so back to our packet here. This is the living quarters for the prisoners at Dachau. Here obviously is an original picture from the camps. This was taken by the Germans, and you can tell they kind of, they've kind of cleaned up the picture. They didn't put the really starving people on there. They got them all clothed. Their legs do look skinny, but you know, they look kind of healthier. They didn't pick the really sick. You can tell some of these guys are up here kind of fake smiling. They did this as a propaganda picture to show that they're not really all that bad, that they're trying to take care of the sickly. But also notice the barracks here, right there. You have the picture right across of it. It's original barracks, still there. Dachau is different from most camps. Where it was first built as a work camp, it actually had nicer facilities than most of them. This right here, to most of us, it looks just like a big wooden table, but this was a shower for the sick. So if you were sick and couldn't stand up or anything, your friends could take you in there, lay you on the table. There was a water shower head above. They could wash you. So that was something they had there. These are the community sinks. Doesn't look really great, but they did have community sinks there they could use.
What is that stuff inside of it? Bugs?
It's probably rust and stuff. I mean, they're old. This is something no other camp had. They actually had working, flushable toilets. So, I mean, there's no stalls, there's no privacy, but you actually had a little bit of sanitation at Dachau. So they didn't actually get sick from human waste. When we see Auschwitz, their restrooms were outside. They dig a trench. Once it got filled, then they could cover it up, go dig another one. So, I mean, in the hindsight of things, if you had to go to one, you wanted to go to Dachau. These bunks here, obviously they took the mattresses out of them, but you'd sleep about 10 people to each square. So you got real close and comfortable with your neighbor. When you got off the train, if they knew you were a family, they split you up right then, so you may never see your mother or father again. You know they're somewhere in the camp, but you don't see them. They put you as complete strangers. So, I mean, you're going to become good friends with your bunkmate because, well, you have to. To survive, you're going to have to get to know them and depend on each other. This is the, yes ma'am.
Was there like any fights in there?
Oh yeah, there was
What
fights.
happened to the people?
Most of the time, the guards either let them beat themselves to death, or as soon as they broke up, they'd take them out and get rid of them. Just because they didn't want any disorder in the camps. Most of the time, like I said, they just let them go till somebody died and get beat to death. Because it saved them from having to waste a bullet. This right here are the fences and the outposts and the guard post. We talked about no man's land with World War I and the trenches. This right here is called no man's land in the camps. This right here, it was told as soon as you got off, for any reason, if you get in these trenches here, we're going to shoot you, no questions asked. So even if you're walking along right here, and you stub your toe and you fall in, the guards saw you trip in there, no questions asked, they're going to shoot you.
Wow.
Just because if I let one get by with it, somebody else is going to push it. And just keep trying. This right here was electrified fence with razor wire, so if you got there, you're going to get shocked. There's a high enough voltage that it would kill you. They have accounts of deer running into it and being shocked to death. So if you grab a hold of it, you're going to die. Every one of these guardhouse shacks had armed guards at the ready to fire. This right here is the commons area where you can come out for a break. Yes, sir.
Why didn't they get shot if they went into that?
Why? Just because that was their no man's land. It's like prison. You go to prison, there's a no man's land there. Again, the guards they tell the prisoners if you walk in there today, any reason you get pushed, you fall, we're going to shoot you. It's just intimidation factors and it's to keep peace. Right here is kind of like the commons area where they'd have their few minutes of break a day, kind of like between second and third period and fifth and sixth. You have that little 10-minute break. They'd have the same thing there. You go to the commons area, but on every corner there's a guard shack. So if they see you doing anything they don't like, they're gonna come get you. So there was absolutely no chance to escape. There are no known escapees from Dachau or Auschwitz. They do not think anybody ever escaped alive out of these places. There might have been an attempt, but they got them.
They got out of body bags.
Yes, sir.
How come these were like worse than prisons now? Like people escape from prisons.
Yeah, because the guards were told if you see anybody attempting, you think there may be attempting, get rid of them. And there's nothing they was going to do to them. So now Hitler's getting defeated in the war, and he comes up with what he calls the final solutions. So every Jewish person, no matter if you've been to the camps and worked yourself free, was rounded back up and sent back. They were put first in what they call walled ghettos. They just take a wall around this little Jewish community, build it up, that's where you'd stay until they came enough trains to get you to the camps. And these were usually in like Poland, Czechoslovakia. Very few were in Germany because they've already got rid of the German Jews. At first, the killings were very random and just, if I'm your guard, having a bad day, I walk by, JT looks at me funny, bam. Keep walking by, I don't like what he's wearing, bam. Walk by here, you guys snicker, throw a gas bomb at you. So there's no real reason or rhyme for what they're doing. It's just if you're having a bad day, I feel bad for you. The Nazis' plan was to kill about 11 million Jews. Some say 12 million. They got 6.2 million of them. Keep in mind, the Russians killed 8 million. So if you combine the numbers, they did reach it.
Wait, the Russians killed the Jews too?
The Russians didn't have concentration camps. The Russians used the Jews in their military. So like I told you, you had a gun with no bullets. They just keep running at the troops. That's how they killed so many. They used them as their military, yeah. And like I said, they had more weapons than or had more people than weapons. So you just.
They didn't die. I mean,
Yeah.
if the Nazis killed them, they'd be terrible.
Many camps are, again, designated death camps. And this is where you had them actually, this whole room, it's your day, this whole room dies. And the largest camp was Auschwitz, we'll talk about tomorrow, in Poland. And prisoners within the Reich were transported by train to the death camps and then murdered. We'll skip over that. We'll go back to it tomorrow. All right. This is one of the crematories at Dachau. Again, I told you, at first these were used as sanitation for the bodies and having so many people die of illness, they couldn't keep up with the burials. So they realized they had these crematories there. They could start burning the bodies, killing the disease, and saving space for the prisons. So at first it started off being a sanitary good thing. Even the Jewish people thought this was better than having sick bodies everywhere. They'd run them up, take them to the crematories, they'd burn them, they'd get the ashes, they'd go scatter the ashes. Kind of like what we do today for people that get cremated still today. It did not start being a tool of death until the very end. This right here is a picture today. This right here, now we're not sure when this picture was took or if it was during the times they were using the camps. It says around 44, but they're not sure. This is possibly smoke from burning trash. It also possibly could be smoke from burning bodies. We don't know for sure. If it was 44, then this would be definitely for burning bodies, and in many cases they were burned alive. They just throw them in. So depending on when this picture actually was took, that smoke could be different things. The crematories are also used for trash. They just burn it instead of throwing it out.
Is this Coach Harper?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, Coach Harper's one of the already, so for some reason.
Okay, just in one of the desk. Alright, this is the disrobing room. The Jews are actually tricked, and because none of them survived to tell anybody else, nobody knew. So if you guys can say today's Thursday, Thursday is your shower day. You had an actual day where you got to go take a bath. So you guys are all happy, excited, I get to clean up today, it's Thursday. You go into the disrobing room. Do you see anything in here that would give you an idea something bad's getting ready to happen?
Yeah.
What do you see?
No shower.
Well, it's a disrobing room where you take off your clothes. And it would be men one time and the women the next, so there's no intermingling. Yep, but they knew that. When you took your clothes off, you left them here in a pile. There was a Jewish person that worked there. Their job was to go get the clothes, take them off to the laundromat, where they'd boil the lice out of them. You get clean clothes. So that was, again, just completely expected. They knew that was going to happen. They'd get clean clothes. You're happy. I mean, there's no real warning signs on here that says, we're getting ready to get killed. This door here is where you'd enter. You can't see it real well. There's a door right here where you'd go into the actual shower part. And then the first thing, part of this, when it was a work camp, it really was a shower room. And then when the final solution came, they figured out a way they could trick them into killing them. Again, this actually was a shower room. You can see the shower heads up there that actually flow water. And they realized, again, you look here, you're used to going to take a shower, there's nothing you see any out of the ordinary. Until right here. And outside here would be a guard with a gas mask, and he'd drop Zyklon B gas in there. Zyklon B, it was a very highly potent pesticide that would spray on plants to kill insects. They realized it worked on humans. Yes, ma'am.
So it wasn't like regular gas?
No.
Like,
If we was to drop 20,000 Zyklon B canisters in this room, as long as nobody spit or water got on it, we can walk in here day by day and be fine. But as soon as this water hits it, chemical reaction, it releases a deadly gas. So they're dropping in these canisters. Jews don't know what it is. They're pulling their shower heads down and getting gassed. They would do 300 or 400 people at a time. They estimate each time it took about 10 minutes for all of them to die. Here's the sad part. There was a couple of Jewish people there. It was their job to go get the bodies. They were told if they told anybody, they would be killed. So they'd go get all the bodies out, pile them on a cart, take them to the crematory. They'd see their friends walk in. 10 minutes later, they're going to get them out. All day long. That was their job. Sad part is, I'm not going to say they enjoyed their job. They were treated well. They got fed. They got special places to stay while working there, not saying anything. So while they're working, your other Jewish friends are hating you. So they got turned pretty much into SS guards. They knew where their food was coming from, and they're going to do it.
So he fulfilled the thing of creating the...
Yeah. A lot of them didn't die either. They survived. All right. Here's a crematory picture. Obviously, the one over here, the color, is a modern picture from where she went. This right here is a body slide. Slide the body in, the fire's going up, ashes fall down here. This right here is an actual picture of when the soldiers got there. They were still burning bodies. Obviously, this one's been dead a while. I mean, it's starved to death. You can see rib cage, you can see everything. But notice right here, who do you think that guy is? He's a Jew. He's wearing the striped pajamas, as they call them. His job is to push the bodies in. Again, does he look starved? No. Does he look fairly healthy?
Yeah.
He was fed, he was took care of.
Is the other one a Jew too? Who's the
Yes.
parents?
Yep, he's a Jew too. Again, he doesn't look sick. That was their jobs. All right, this picture is quite disturbing. This is Dachau, the day that it was liberated from the Jewish or the Germans. take a note down here. I mean, you have half-rotted bodies laying there, bones sticking out. You have fresh bodies. The people around here, who do you think they are?
They're the Germans have years around.
They are the German citizens around that town that said they had no idea what was going on. The Americans got so mad that they forced all these people in the town to come into these camps. The Americans that you see standing right there, 2 of them, they did not bury a single body. They made the German people do it. Not in a mass grave, individually, one by one, hand-dug graves. Because they said there's no way you could not have known what was going on. How could you not smell that? When you think about the layers of death right there, how could you not smell it? So they made them do this. This picture here is of one of the Jewish body barriers. Around him's SS guard. Apparently, he had done something that they didn't like so well. And as you can tell, this guy was getting ready to shoot him into the grave. So that he'd done his job, they was getting rid of him. These are actual photographs from the camps. And this is the last picture of Dachau. And why this picture is important? I want you to look at the people there. Obviously, they're all Jewish. Some of them are almost giving the Hitler salute because they're so brainwashed to do it. What do you notice from this? They're all, of course, you're going to be happy if you're free.
They're healthy.
They're healthy. How long do you think they've been there?
Not long.
Not long. I would guesstimate most of them still have their teeth. If you look close, a lot of them still have their hair. They may have just got off that train. I mean, this guy looks like he just got his head shaved. He might have been there a day. There's one of them, I can't remember where he's at. This guy, full head of hair still. He's not even got changed out of his clothes. He may have just got off that train. So this picture is a really cool picture to see him liberated, but it doesn't tell the whole story. You don't see the ones that have been there for a while. This, again, American propaganda to make it look like these people we found.
Some are drinking and smoking too.
Yep, true. I assume it's wine, cigars. But I ask you guys this question. Would it have been much more powerful if they took this picture with the starving ones that are still alive to send back home? That we got these guys? To me, it would be. All right. So what you guys do is put your packets in your notebooks. I'm going to pass out the questions you have on Dachau. They'll look at the iPads. Keep in mind, I spelled Dachau on here wrong, so you guys will know how to say it. You can use your packets to get the right pronunciation to look it up on the iPads. There's 10 questions. They're not that hard. Some of the answers are actually on your notes. It's going to get worse. Take all your stuff and we're going to lunch right from the library. Yes, ma'am.
I might actually go and leave this room alone.
That's fine.
Are we leaving right now?
Yes.